Hi, this is Bird from Bird's SVGs, and in this video I'll show you how I put the Mum Floral Edge Card together, and this is from the For My Mum SVG collection. So first of all, I'm going to start with the card base, and I'm going to put my insert in, and this comes in two pieces. I'm just going to fold along the score line so I can get the placement of my internal pattern paper piece correct. I want to make sure that the border around all the edges are all equal. So I'm just adding some glue to the outline of this pattern paper piece. And then I'm looking at the curves on the right hand side and making sure that the border is looking about right, and then the border on all the four sides is quite even. Now in that little area that's missing there, that's where the little white piece of paper goes, and that's the piece that's hidden behind the card front, and that's where you can write the message to your recipient. And then through the cut out floral edge on the front, you can see the pattern paper come through. Now we've got this piece of pattern paper that goes on the front of the card, and the edge reflects the shape of the floral edge on the front. I'm just going to be careful to make sure that I've got a little bit of glue on those sticky out parts, the little points. And I'm just going to put that in place and pay a little bit of attention to these small pieces, just to make sure that they're all stuck down firmly and they don't catch or pull up at all. So I'm just going to hold those. A little bit of glue squeezed out, so I'm just going to remove that. And I'm going to set it aside to dry. Now this piece, I will admit, is a little bit fiddly when you try and glue it. I tried to add some glue here as quickly as I could, and I went around the edge, the perimeter first, and then I started adding some glue to the internal sections. But then I found that the outside areas were starting to dry out already, so as I continued with this piece, you can see at the top there that the glue is actually starting to go translucent. So I did find on this piece, when I was adding my glue, that I was chasing my tail a little bit, because I was trying to go back over areas that had already been glued, and I didn't know how successful this was going to be at all. But I decided to pop it down and see how much that I did actually manage to get glued here. So I added some glue back over some previous areas. But to my surprise, it actually all glued down pretty well. So here I'm just popping it into place. I'm trying to act a little bit speedily. And then I thought what I'll do is, any areas that haven't stuck down, I'll just remind you of my little spatula trick. So I'm just burnishing the fold of the card with a bone folder there. And now I'm trying to find any edges that are lifting, and I really struggled. I found this one area at the top that I could get the spatula under, just to remind you really of my spatula trick. So what I do, the spatula is so very thin, I just add some glue, and then you can slide it underneath and just touch on top the piece of paper, so it'll just take some of the glue from the spatula, and then you can push it down. But the spatula is so fine that it won't actually bend or crease your card at all. Because if you try and pull it up with a fingernail and add some glue under there, your fingernail is a lot thicker and it will actually bend and crease your card. So I was quite surprised. That piece did actually go down quite well. Okay, now I'm adding my top layer to my mum word. And as with the other mum card in this collection, there's two spellings. So don't worry, there is an MOM version as well. They're saved in different folders. So whichever folder you go for, the MUM or the MOM, you have all the pieces there you need. But then again, if you call your mum something slightly different, or you don't have a mum, you can add something different here, a different sentiment. This card could be used for all manner of occasions. So there, I added some 3D foam pads behind my sentiment to add some little bit of dimension there, and the card's finished.